What's up, guys? All right, a few minutes away before we get rolling. I still see we got some people. I won't say still see. I see people rolling in. So welcome, guys. Like I said, about four. And then assuming that David actually shows up on time, Bonnie, we will start right at like 2:02, something like that, Central Time. Thanks, guys. All right, welcome, guys. Everybody who's rolling in, welcome. This is going to be, I'll say, somewhat of a unique one, but we're kind of repurposing this last portion. So we've been through 7 weeks now. This is week 8, which is really cool because we're going to be restarting, right? So going back into the basics. I don't want to say basics, right? Because I think each time this continues to get better, but we'll be talking about the 4D sales process, how to ultimately roll out each part of this and really create a habit in what you guys are designing as your sales process. So we're going to be going through that today. We're going to be talking about cleaning up your book of business. This is a big week, not only for it's the beginning of the month, it's also the beginning of Q4. And depending on where you are in the US, it could be going into a more difficult time. And we'll talk about that, what that looks like. And then as sales reps, how you guys can position yourselves as trusted advisors, make sure that you're not reaching out trying to get clients to buy something, right? Talk about that buyer-seller misalignment. You guys aren't trying to sell something, you're trying to help your client reach their goal or solve their problem. So we'll talk about what that looks like today with the ultimate goal of cleaning up your book of business. And we'll talk about why it's important to have a book of business, what a dead opportunity is worth, and what a quoted opportunity is worth from the sales side. So get started in a few minutes here, guys, and welcome. No reps left behind. All right, guys, time has come. Welcome, welcome. All right, we're going to get jamming here. So thank you for everybody who's joining in. Today, we're going to be talking about something, I'll say extremely unique, but it's not something that everybody does. When I talk about sales and I talk about a book of business, I'm talking about all of the opportunities that you have from the beginning of time ever. That is a book of business, right? And they should have statuses associated with them. So if you're using a CRM system to be able to track your stuff, fabulous. Step one, we're on the right track, because all of these different technology tools should be able to help you guys create a better experience for your customer and make it a little bit easier that you guys don't absolutely hate going in and putting notes in. Now, I know it's not a wonderful thing to do, but today we're going to be talking about cleaning up your book of business. And I've already said it, but I'll say it again now that we have a handful of individuals in. We're going to be focusing on a couple different things. Number one is Q4. So we're in October right now, October, November, December. So based upon a calendar year, we are in Q4, the fourth quarter or the last quarter of the year. We're also in a brand new month. Today is the first Tuesday of the month, right? So we're being able to look at, okay, what are our sales projected to be this month? If we have a healthy book of business, which we'll talk about this, we should be able to forecast or project the amount of sales that we have coming in for the month. Now, from a leadership side, it makes it fabulous when you guys have a projection, because we can tell right off the bat, are we projected to meet our sales goal or are we projected to fall short? So that's all what we're going to be talking about today. David, welcome. I want to make sure you're on. You can hear me. All is good on your side, sir?
Can anybody else hear Chad? I can't. Just kidding, buddy.
Don't do that to me,
buddy. Hey, it just took that one time. I can pull it out whenever I want now. Nope, I'm good. This is awesome. This is some of the most important content that we can be going through, because it's so contrary to how most people are running their book of business.
It's very true. And you destroyed my whole flow, man. I was like, if they didn't hear me, like, I can't repeat that the same way.
I know you were streaming consciousness, baby.
I was. All right, cool. So this is going to be fun. Again, this is week 8, right? So we've learned about the 4D process. We're going to be talking about how do we utilize that to be able to ensure that our book of business is as healthy as possible. So that's what we're going to be going through today. Click the button to be able to get to the next slide. There we go. All right. My name is Chad Westbrook. I am the founder of Sales Alignment, which, as you guys know at this point right now, service alignment that does a whole bunch on the commercial roofing side. So thank you guys for joining in. I don't think I needed to go through a lot of my stuff. My world was in the commercial roofing background with a specific niche on service. So going into this is what I've done for my entire career, being able to run my own book of business and to be able to help other sales reps run their book of business, to be able to make sure that they have the time they need. Okay, that's the biggest thing we're going to talk about today. They have the time they need to be that trusted advisor that ultimately their clients not only need, but want.
Hey guys, David Bonnie with 45. My background, I went through the hard world, the hard sales and revenue world of venture capitalists and private equity firms screaming down your throat every single day because they wanted returns. They wanted to get larger than life returns out of their investment in these businesses. And to do that, you can't do what everybody else does, because if you do what everybody else does, you get the same results as everybody. So it was in that pressure cooker that I was able to really start to crystallize some amazing revenue strategies, some amazing operating structures, and all that's the stuff that we're bringing here for you guys today. You guys don't have to go through that level of stress. I will go through it for you, and then Chad and I will just give you the information that we've gotten from all those years in the trenches, so you can bypass it and just start doing it in a much more effective way.
Awesome. So you're probably wondering, why are we doing this for free? Why are you guys joining here and being able to have ultimately the resources that are here? Our goal is to be able to raise the floor of the commercial roofing industry. And when I say raise the floor, you can talk about raising the bar, right? And if you are not at the bar, you can't reach the bar, and you make it higher, all it does is it makes it harder for you mentally and physically, right? To be able to reach the bar, to be able to hit whatever that goal is. And as that bar continues to get raised higher and higher, It just creates more of a, I'll say, a mental, physical, all kinds of negative game to where you're not going to be able to win. Where as a business owner and as a sales rep, if we're able to leverage all of the people winning around us and to be able to learn from that, that's what David and I are here doing. It allows you to be able to raise your floor, which means if you can operate better every single day, right? If you can get control of your schedule, if you can have more time to dedicate on truly what matters and a better process to be able to run, to better qualify and disqualify, it makes it a lot easier to be able to hit those goals. It makes that bar not look as high, because what's happening is you're raising that floor. You're becoming a better sales rep. You're getting better at disqualifying all of the sludge out of the pipeline, so you're not wasting your time following up on people who ultimately never answer, which is part of what we're talking about today. So before we can even go into talking about how to clean your book of business up, right? How to start forecasting and those types of things, we have to go back to this slide. And David, I'm going to let you take this because I think you do it best, but we got to understand our buyer's intent.
Yeah, so there are plenty of distractions in the world, guys. And I know we beat on this drum, but just know that for a lot of you guys that work with us in our programs, et cetera, they're here. We're going to keep beating on these drums because these are the core foundational tools and seeds that we need to have planted in your mind so you understand how everything else works. People have plenty of distractions in their life. If they are meeting with us, they have an intention. They're spending their time and energy, because we can all spend our time, energy, and money. If they're spending their time and energy to meet with us, there has to be a reason. And we need to understand what that intention is. And that intention is they intend to find a solution, hopefully the best solution, to solve the actual problems, right? They don't care what the problems are. I just want them to go away, right? To solve the actual problems that are causing them enough pain and keeping them from important outcomes. It's the enough pain and the important outcomes that are now a wall of emotional tension that needs to be broken through, right? Which is why they're working with us. And our ability to be able to get aligned on this intention is key. So when it comes down to our book of business and what it is that we're doing and how we're evaluating our prospects, we look at the trusted advisor's intent. Remember, date versus doctor visit? We are not there to court our prospects. We are there to help them feel better. They are in pain. That's why they're meeting with us. Or they have some health goal that they're trying to achieve with their building, right? Our intention, sorry, go back, is to...
I'm doing horrible today on slide side. I'm sorry, guys.
Oh, it's good. I mean, at that point, that was so sporadic. You could have just blamed it on a hacker. We intend to help them find a solution, right? To solve the actual problems causing them enough pain and keeping them from important outcomes. So when we're going through our book of business, if we're trying to help them do this, well, we can identify and get aligned with them on what the actual problems are and whether or not we can actually solve them. And if we can't solve them, they're gone, right? They don't need to be a part of our book of business. We can actually evaluate, is this painful enough? Is this problem creating enough pain to make you want to take action on it? I can figure that out with them as their trusted advisor. And if it's not, I know. And we can both be on the same page, and they can go fix this whenever they want to. And I can keep my book of business clean. And then I can get clear on the important outcomes that they achieve. And if they are important enough, we will know. And if they're not, it's okay. Go spend your money elsewhere. But at least we're aligned, and I can go look for the next opportunity.
So you make an amazing point inside that. So when I look at a book of business, when I see opportunities, I think time. That's the first thing. So he mentioned time. David mentioned time, energy, and money, right? So when I look at a book of business, the first thing I think of is time, right? How much time? If I said, hey, it's raining today in Philadelphia, right? Go call everybody in your book of business. How much would it take you? How much time would it take you to be able to work through that book of business? That's the first thing I think of. The second thing I think of is energy. David said it best, right? You're going to use your time and energy to be able to focus into this. So we've talked about mindset in a couple of the other ones, and mindset is huge when it comes to cleaning your book of business up, because there have been way too many situations personally and as a sales manager where I've been emotionally invested And that sometimes is the scariest thing that I have ever done. Is I became emotionally invested because I've spent so much time, so much energy. We went to dinner 4 different times and my wife was there, and yeah, I've heard all kinds of crazy stories, right? And all of this creates this emotional bond that this person said the right thing when I first met them. So then I did everything to court them, to make them like me, right? And we're best friends. He's super cool. I know his wife, all this kind of different stuff. But what it really comes down to is is number one, and we'll talk about this, right? Is the problem big enough for them to act, right? Do they actually understand where it is? This is where the 4D process comes in. But I've been in those situations. So the first things that you have to do when thinking about cleaning up a book of business is separate the emotional side. Because the only thing an opportunity is time and energy. Because an opportunity is surely not money that's coming back to you guys, because it's still an opportunity. It's not sold yet. It's still more likely in that quoted phase. So I'm going to ask the group a question and let's see if we can get some feedback on it. So you guys are going to come in and you're going to have to put something inside the chat. Now, if you're on Facebook, Zoom, anything else like that, or watching it before, sorry guys, you're out of here. Here's what I'm going to ask you guys in Zoom. How much is a quoted opportunity worth to you guys? Quoted opportunity, okay? Here's the variable I'm going to put in with no close date, with no projected close date. How much is that worth to you guys? I'm going to take a second. I'm going to ask you guys, plug it into the chat. How much is a quoted opportunity with no commitment date, which means the client does not have a date that he can tell you that they are going to make a decision? Which in other words means you have an opportunity in your book of business that does not have any date associated to when it will go dead or when it will go sold. And that date is not an assumed date that you put on there. It's a date that the client has committed to.
Oh, you mean October 31st?
Yes.
For every deal in your pipeline is that okay?
Everything closes. Yeah. And that right there is exactly why I put the variable in. It is not assumed by you.
That's right.
Because when I let you, as the sales rep, assume where it is, it's like, probably middle of the month, probably
right.
end of the month. Yeah, no, we'll have
October 15th and October 31st.
This will be closed by the end of the month for sure.
That's right.
I give myself 3 weeks to be able to follow up, text, email, show up at his house, right? Meet, whatever it is by the end of the month. No, that is not a true close date, guys. So when we talk about a close date, right, a commitment date from your customer, it means your customer is clear on the issue and they're confident, right, that the problem is big enough that they're actually going to do something about it and they actually need outside help, right? They are solving this problem. Doesn't mean it's happening with you, but they're solving the problem. They have made the date. Yes, we need to make a decision by the end of this month. We need to make a decision by the second week. We'll make a decision in the next week or so. It's a date that your client has given you that they're going to commit. All right. So I'm going to answer the question for you guys. 0. An opportunity in your book of business with no close date is worth nothing. Because hope is not a strategy, guys. Hope is not a strategy. When we talk about cleaning your book of business up, and I talk about emotionally disconnecting yourself from all of that, I'm going to ask you 3 questions. Is the problem big enough that the client actually needs to do something about it? Do they need outside services? And have you positioned yourself as the best option for them? More than likely, one of those answers are no. Because if they are yes, we should have a date that the client is looking to be able to make a decision. Problem big enough? Great. Do they actually need outside help? Great. Now let's talk about the actionable steps that they need to do in order to be able to get this pushed forward, right? Which is all the other questions that come inside place. How do you normally go about buying something like this? That's why I said, if you talk to them about what their process is, they'll tell you how long it's going to take. I can make a decision today, right? If I was at a company, but maybe running the PO system can take 2 weeks, which allows you guys to be able to have better and more accurate projections. So this all starts with pulling the emotional side out of it. The second thing is that we have to intend on helping them find a solution. This is, again, the buyer-seller misalignment. This is not about selling your products or selling your services. This is about the client have a problem big enough that they actually have to act. That's the trusted advisor side. So we've went through this. Hopefully, if I'm telling you this terminology, it's making sense to you because we spent 8 weeks together now going through this. This is how you clean a book of business up, guys. This is also how you get repeat business because you help your clients solve their issues, right? They solve their problems. You help them get to where their goals. And when you do that, you step into that trusted advisor role and not just a contractor who reactively calls you. That's a massive part of this, not a phone call when it rains. All right. So we talked about the buyer's action plan. I'm going to go right back to this because this is going to be your best friend when it comes to cleaning up a book of business. Now, last time around, we called this halftime. And I still love that side because what that means is that you guys have presented everything that you needed to. You have handed the proposal over, which if you've been in any of these other presentations, when you hand that proposal over, your power is gone. Assume that you will never speak to them again because once they have your proposal, they now have the ability to be able to award the project to someone else. They know what your price is. They can shop it. They can do nothing. All of that stuff is out the window. So when you deliver your proposal, assume that you will never talk to them again. However, you've delivered the proposal. It's been in your book of business for 30 days. You do not have a close date. And this is what you're looking at for a book of business. Halftime is one of the best things that you can do because halftime can be done inside 2 different ways. Number one is that you've done your discovery meeting, you've went into the diagnosis side, and you missed a question. That's okay. That's the beauty of all of this is that you can go back in as a trusted advisor and say, hey, I was actually thinking about the conversation we had, and I have a couple other questions for you. That's not weird. That's not a failure. What's that?
People love to be thought about. Hold on, well, you're thinking about my problems for me? That's awesome. Yeah, what you got for me? That's always the answer, guys. Always. Yeah, what do you got, Chad? You been thinking about me? I've been thinking about me. Can somebody help me think about me and what I got going on finally? Great. What do you got? Absolutely.
There's a huge part of this. So if you are going through your sales process and you have missed a question, go back. Ask the question. Do not assume. Do not deliver the proposal. Go back and ask the question because if there's a variable in your sale, again, when you deliver that proposal, when you hand that over, guys, assume that you will never talk to that client again. Now, we're on the opposite side. We've delivered the proposal. The client has not awarded the proposal. Now it's up to us to be able to figure out a couple different things. Now, through our sales process, we should have had a priority level 1 through 10. How much of a priority is this for you? If they said 6, 7, 8, something like that, we should have probed deeper at this point to be able to say, okay, what is an 8, 9, or 10? What's in front of this? To be able to understand, again, giving us a better understanding of what the potential close date is. They got to get all of the HVAC swapped out. Then they'll start thinking about the roof. Okay, no problem. What do you think that time frame is? We can ask those questions as a trusted advisor to be able to understand what is the projected close date. Now, when your client fails to meet that date, what do? David?
Follow up with them.
You go back in. So you give, first off, this is a relationship. This is a business-to-business relationship, which means at no point do they ever expect, most people, at no point ever expect something for free. They know that what they are asking you for is a service that costs money. They know that. You as a trusted advisor gets to come in, sit on the same side of the table as them and help them solve this problem. But at no point do they expect this problem to be solved for free. So you are an accountability partner as much as you are a trusted advisor because their best interest is at hand, right? We intend to be able to help them find that solution. Right? They know they have a problem that they can't solve. They know they have a goal that they can't get to because they're missing some piece that connects into the service that we deliver. So if you go through all of this process and you have an individual in your book of business who have failed to meet the commitment date that they have, it's not weird to go back in and say, hey, talk me through what changed. Talk me through what variables have came between now and then, because we had talked about getting this done by the end of September. Now we're in October. The same process that we use on the sales side to be able to discover, right, the discovery, diagnosis, demonstration, can be reused to be able to figure out what variables changed. And using the buyer's action plan to be able to say, we had talked about this being a level 9, right? You gave it a 9 as far as priority. Is that still the case? Expectations, which is the expected close date, right? The expected decision date, they can very easily be changed. And there's a lot of variables that can go in, but only if you're up to speed with the customer. That's accountability. And when you position yourself as a trusted advisor, you are not only accountable inside solving the issue, right? Solving the problem, you're also accountable to making sure that it hits the deadlines that they've spoke about. That's the real trusted advisor side, guys, is that you're working on the same side of the table for them, understanding as, hey, we're behind on deadline. Just as an employer, a coworker, or a manager would be, you can be on that same side to say, hey, I know we wanted to get this done before the snow flies. This is real. So I talked about the variables in different parts of the US inside Q4. One thing that's happening throughout the entire United States is that leaves are falling on roofs, right? That's obvious. What happens when leaves fall on roofs, and then rain comes, and then winter comes, it starts freezing. And there's a handful of things that start happening that make certain projects not possible to complete in the winter. If you have a ballasted system, right? If you have some type of rock system that's up there, that rock starts freezing. And the replacement of those roofs can't happen anymore. So no way am I asking for a sale. Now I'm being an accountability partner to them, saying that if we don't get this project done within X amount of time, it may A, cost you more, B, it might take more energy, it might take more time, right? Which results back inside money because it's taking you guys more time. Now it's more costly for the customer. You're working in their best interest. You can go back into those conversations and you can clean a book of business up with integrity. But the one thing that you have to do, and I've already said it a few different times here, you have to disconnect that emotional side. Because if you're emotionally invested into the book of business and you go in and you make your own variables up, you make your own assumptions. No, this guy's got to do it. I remember when I was out there, he had this going on. This guy's got to do it. Don't rely on your gut. Don't rely on your heart or your emotions, guys. Go back in, have the real conversation that needs to happen, and follow the buyer's action journey. You can rehash everything that's going out inside there, right? So we talk about checkpoint 1, do they need to act? This is a great question, because if you've already went through this with them and the decision was yes, and the decision was based upon them making a decision or them making a choice, right? A choice on a contractor to move forward, and they haven't yet, has anything changed here, right? Are all the decision makers still in line? Is there a new decision maker that came inside place? Did they hit a new roadblock that they didn't even know about? It might make you come back in to this part of the sales process and rediscover it, right? We talk about discovery, rediscover what's going on. Because what they had said from the time that we had first met with them to right now is different. Okay, it's different. They didn't award it. They didn't get to a point. They didn't commit. They didn't follow through on the commitment that they made. Right? Have they tried this? Have they tried this to be able to solve it and failed? Right? That's more of a discovery. Do they need to act? Re-ask that question. I know we talked about before this being like a 9 on a scale of 1 to 10. Are you still at that point? If not, what changed? Go back in, take the emotional side out, go through the checkpoints. Do they actually need to act? It's okay if the answer is no. It's okay if the variable has changed. It's okay if they said, you know what? We're going to get solar on this, and I think we're going to have some grants, so we're going to hold off on the repairs right now. That's perfectly fine. Because remember what I asked you guys, how much is an opportunity with no close date worth to you guys? Nothing. It's worth nothing but time and energy. And those are two things that are very, very, time is almost impossible to get back. Energy is very hard to get back. So don't waste your time following up with customers who don't answer the phones, who don't have a problem, right, big enough that they actually need to act. So that's the first thing I want to challenge you guys with is go through in a book of business, go through your book of business and ask yourself, is the problem big enough to act? Right? Then ask your customer that same question. What's changed? Is it still here? The second one, do they need new or outside help? Is this still the case? All of a sudden they submitted the budget, right? They knew that they needed someone outside because they tried to fix it 5 or 6 times themselves. And then, you know what? Something came back. Corporate said, no, we're not going to do that. So they sent someone else on the roof to be able to do the repairs to get them through the next couple of months until next quarter or next fiscal year or whatever the variables are. This is one that can so easily change. Do they really need new or outside help? Maybe they were looking for outside help, right? And then they did it themselves. Go back into this question, ask the question. Don't assume that it's dead. Don't assume that they're neglectful. Don't assume anything in these questions. Go back in because the same 3-part checkbox, right? These same milestones that you're in allow you to be able to rediscover what's going on. What has changed? Because again, if it's in your book of business right now and you do not have a close date that is at least October 3rd or forward, you have something that I would consider a waste of time and a waste of energy. It's mean, it's direct, but you guys need to have a commitment date from your customer because if the problem is big enough for them to act, it's big enough for them to be able to put a date where they're going to do something about it. As long as we, again, follow this, reframe the situation, make them understand that it's not just a roof leak, it's bigger than a roof leak, right? It's water on the floor, slip fall hazard, it's lost time, it's lost materials. We have to be able to help them understand. That's what a trusted advisor does. So checkpoint 2, do they actually need new or outside help? Ask this question, get back into conversation with them. We're not following up on a proposal saying, hey, I wanted to check in on the proposal. I know I haven't heard from you inside a month. Set up a time to talk to them about what has changed from the time that you originally met to the time that you delivered the proposal, which we should have went through that 3 checkbox, right? 3 checkbox confirmation to the time you are right now. Something has changed if they have failed to be able to hit that commitment date. Find out what that is. Again, do not assume. And then finally, was there anything that you missed? We talk about positioning yourself as having the best solution. If they're still looking at other contractors, if they tell you, no, we're still waiting for a couple other bids. There could be some variables to that, but if they're looking for other bids, you may not have solved their problem or you may not have positioned yourself as that end all, no one can match my special sauce kind of position. That's very, very important to understand that if they're still looking for other bids, there may be something that you've missed within your discovery phase that they're looking to get. Now, there's also the variable that they have to have 3 bids to be able to award the contract. Sometimes some corporate entities or boards or whatever it is have that inside place. Can't do much about that. The only thing you can do is, again, position yourself as you've had my proposal, right? This is the professional side. You've had my proposal. I hope that the delay of time shows you how proactive we are and how fast we move compared to other contractors. Again, positioning yourself, right, as that trusted advisor, positioning yourself as that expert that you know exactly how to solve this. And some of the delays from other contractors could be putting a variable, into the mix. David, I know I went through a lot inside here. Anything you want to add to these 3 check boxes, going back into, what is halftime for the most part, to make sure that we're still aligned to ultimately the original problem or goal that we defined?
Yeah. So, I think there's 3 things I would address, or I would just, one I would reiterate, guys, is, what Chad said. The key conversation around it when you detach yourself emotionally is what changed. It's okay if something changed. I just want to know what changed so that we're in alignment here. That's all. I'm just trying to help you. If somebody that's trying to help you, let's just stay aligned on what's going on. If something is completely different now, you don't need to take action on this anymore. It's completely fine. I'm not going to turn into, right, Jekyll and Hyde. I'm not going to turn into manipulative David and try to get you to do now all of a sudden what I want me to do, when before I was acting as a trusted advisor. So it's always, okay, great. What changed? Right? It's always, oh, great, awesome, cool. It's your life, not mine. What's up? It's not about my quota. It's about your problem. Okay. That's the first thing. The second thing is, when you're getting a date, guys, there's always a good opportunity for you guys to allow them to understand what goes on the fulfillment side. So we talk about the best solution. We have to organize our stuff. Fall comes, leaves start falling. People are going to start calling us like crazy if we get bad weather. I might not be able to get a team out here for a while because now we're going to be in our busy season. Why? It's not the company's fault. It's my fault because I didn't communicate with you and get aligned on when you were ready to take action so I could get our team ready. So it's a simple talk track. It's very, very simple, guys. So Chad, I want to make sure if you do end up going with us, I know this is an urgent problem to solve. I want to make sure that we're ready. So I can coordinate and work with my team. When are you guys looking to take action? As an example. But now I'm not saying when are you going to pay me money. I'm saying I need to coordinate with the people that matter to you to get your issue resolved quickly, right? And then once I do that, guys, the third thing, right? So what changed? Aligning resources. And the third thing is, like Chad always says, do not deliver the proposal and go on the sidelines. Understand what their next action is and have another meeting scheduled. I don't care if it's a phone meeting, if it's a 10-minute touch base. Get something on the calendar so you're scheduled to talk to them and you're not reactively waiting for them to finally send you that approval email. Stay in the freaking game. Next action, next date for you guys to meet to talk about that next action. All right, that's all I got.
No, you're right on track, right? So before we go into the next slide, this is one thing that I constantly did and I still constantly train on time frame. Someone tells me, what's the priority of this project? It's a 9. It's a roof replacement, liquid membrane coating, whatever it is. It doesn't make a difference. Even if they awarded that contract to me today, I still have to obtain the materials. I still have to place it on the schedule. I still have to request the permit. I still have to go through all of the different functions depending on where and what the project is, that it could be 30, 45 days. And if we're sitting in October right now, that puts us the middle of November. Now, depending on where you are in the United States, that might not even be possible. That's working in the best interest of my customer because I'm telling them, right, just like the last one, delivery and timelines, do our delivery methods and milestones work for them? That's what we're trying to make sure that we have this complete alignment with them, right? That even if they do it, David, you said it best on a service side, right? Service picks up inside the fall. It naturally does. It rains more. We have leaves, all kinds of different things come to the table, right? As soon as it starts getting cold, because every material naturally shrinks. So as that contraction happens, seams open up, variables happen. It's a busier time of year. Explain that to your customer. That way, again, you have that complete alignment with what's going on. I'm here to be able to work in your best interests. I've talked about it in a few different ones. What happens when snow or ice or even water gets up on the roof during winter? Safety increases, travel time increases. All of that stuff as a contractor costs us money. We have to be aware of that. That's a huge, huge part. We got to be aware of all of that stuff when rolling it out. So when going into your book of business, guys, using those time frames can help you greatly clean up your book of business. Take the emotion out of it. Is the problem big enough for them to act? Do they still need outside services, right? And have you positioned yourself? If not, take that out. So the first question I asked you guys, what is an opportunity with no projected close date worth to you guys? 0. So let me ask the second question now. What is a dead opportunity worth to you guys? So think about that. What's a dead opportunity worth to you guys? If you were to take one out of your book of business, mark it dead right now, what is that worth to you? Throw it inside chat. This is a tricky one, so think about it. If you were to take one opportunity that you've been following up with, so let's just say for 30 days, no answer, no nothing, and you right now, not emotionally, mark that thing dead, deleted the activity and said, you know what? I'm not going back to it. What's that worth to you? Give you guys a few seconds to be able to tag it in.
Don't worry about giving wrong answers, guys. There is no wrong answer.
I won't call anybody out. But this is real, guys. Like I'm challenging you, right? To be able to understand what's your book of business worth, because your book of business is time, energy, and money. That's really what it is. So if you were to take one opportunity right now, mark it as dead, delete the activity and say, you know what? I'm done. I'm over. I'm leaving. What's that worth to you? Okay, got a few answers coming in. Give a few more seconds for anybody else.
We got some overachievers.
You guys got it.
They getting it.
The answer is up to 2 hours. And
Right.
2 hours is based upon you guys going into your book of business, drafting emails, placing phone calls, writing, sending text messages, whatever your follow-up process is, not getting an answer or a response, not including, which was mentioned inside some of the notes, the headache and pain that comes along with looking at a book of business of 80 people, right? Or 80 different opportunities and selling this much this week. That was always the painful point, right? Go ahead, David.
So just to take that, right? So if you close 4 opportunities, you get a day back. You get a day of prospecting.
Yes.
If you get a day of prospecting, how many leads are you going to generate? And if you have an entire day, that's now, right? That 2 hours gets exponentiated across your entire book, which then is an opportunity cost that you're now getting rid of so that you can generate more leads and fill your pipeline. Sorry, it's so important. That 2 hours that you articulate on this stuff, Chad, that we always talk about it's so unbelievably important. I see so many people, we talk to so many people, so many salespeople who are like, how do you get more leads? How do we get more leads? Give me the latest, greatest lead generation trick, right? What do we do on cold calls? None of that matters. The best way to generate more leads is just to free up more of your time. And like we had in the chat here, your emotional energy, where you're not hanging on these deals that are by a thread, right? And you're emotionally involved in them and you're scared that they're not going to come through and you're going to miss quota and everything's going to fall apart. I mean, it's freaking priceless when you stack that up over the course of an entire year, when we should be regularly putting in a lot of deals into close lost and get that time back. And what that does for a year is absolutely immeasurable, guys. If you span that one day across those 4 opportunities, across 365 days of us closing opportunities more efficiently.
So I love it. And then let me just get one thing super, super clear. Hopefully you guys are not in your book of business marking stuff dead right now.
Whatever happened to that David guy?
Yeah. I got 2 opportunities. That's not what I'm telling you guys. Let's be super clear on this, right? I'm telling you to go back into discovery mode with the customer. Okay. That's what I'm telling you. If you can get the time, if the customer is still willing to invest the time to meet with you and understand what has changed, that's a great, great thing. Don't be afraid to say, hey, I'd like to stop by your office, talk to you for a few minutes, right? Or jump on a Zoom call, whatever it is. That's a great thing that they're willing to be able to invest that time. Now, if they're not willing to invest that time, I'm willing to bet you that the problem's not as big as it was when they took the time to meet with you, right? Big variable inside there. The other thing I'll tell you is that a best practices side is do not just mark it dead and go away. There have been some fabulous emails that I have received from sales reps from all types of different companies sending what I call a goodbye email. And a goodbye email is ultimately a reverse psychology kind of thing, where instead of me chasing you saying, hey, David, what's up? Wanted to check in on the proposal, see what's going on. And David still feels like he's in control, he's in power because I'm begging him to sign the proposal. What I do is I flip that and I say, hey, David, I appreciate the opportunity to work with you. However, I'm going to mark this as dead. If you still need my services, let me know. I'd be happy to requote the job at a later time. So I'm not closing the door on David, but I am saying all of the work that I've done now is gone. You no longer have the ability to sign that proposal, and you have to go through my whole discovery process. We have to re-inspect the building, right? He's losing something. That's a huge, huge thing that you guys can have. And if you guys need help, email me. I'd be happy to get you some goodbye emails that I've received that are fabulous, and also some that I've drafted. So don't just go mark it dead and say, you know what? No, I don't care. Goodbye. He doesn't answer me. It's given up. A lot of times they're getting your email. A lot of times they're getting your voicemail or they're getting your text message. They just don't know how to respond to you. And from the client side, there's been several times where deals have stalled, not because of your client, but because of some other factor that's happened. And they just don't want to tell you. They just don't know how to tell you that we have awarded it to somebody else. from my world, that's some of the best things that you can tell me. If you award it to someone else, that's great, because you know why? I want my 2 hours. I want my 2 hours of time to be able to invest inside people who actually have a problem big enough that they need to act. So those goodbye emails can super bring some closure to certain things and allow you to be able to say, not just mark it dead, goodbye, delete the activity. I was being extreme when I asked that question, but it's true, right? Because an opportunity with no close date is worth 0. Okay. A dead opportunity can be worth up to 2 hours. And that's you guys, again, disconnecting the emotional side of it and saying, you know what, this is not worth my time to continue to follow up. I quoted this 5 months ago. The client never responded. He won't take the time to meet with me. I'd send a goodbye email and I would move on from that point if they're not there. So that's the clean up the book of business side. Now, we can still change the future. So when we talk about changing the future, it's about understanding the past. So understanding the past can help us change the future. And the part that I absolutely love about the 4D process, and especially when we get to the solution roadmap, so we've shared that a few different times on the workspace, is that whatever problems we have in our presentations, we can proactively address them by just tweaking our presentation. So if we see, right, so we talk about the revenue reapers, right, or the 5 fatalities that we have on why deals die. If we see that almost every time we're losing a job to competition, right, they awarded it to somebody else, we lost the job, they awarded it to somebody else. I can tell you how many times I've had conversations to be able to say, oh, this contractor's come in and they're taking all of our clients. That's the furthest from the truth. They're in process, right? Their sales process is offering something that you guys are missing. That's the fact behind all of this. And we can respond to what we see happening within our industry, especially if it's in the competition side, to be able to address possibly why they're going with other competition, what we're not delivering that others are. But again, if you are not proactively doing that before you deliver the proposal, you're letting your client make that decision. Or you're hoping and praying that you're going to get an opportunity after you've delivered your proposal, right? Hope is not a strategy. After you deliver your proposal, that you're going to get an opportunity to be able to come in behind them, right? And then say, oh yeah, we can do that, or we can do this above and beyond that. And that happens less than 1% of the time. Don't ever plan on that. Don't ever hope on that. So the revenue reapers, right here, will allow you guys to be able to look and understand why you're losing deals, okay? Which can change the future, which can help you win more, especially on the presentation side. So David, you want to take us through these, sir?
Yeah, so revenue reapers, guys, this is not just for sales and the sales process. This is for how we run our own individual businesses. This is for how companies should be running their sales organization. It should all be based off of these 5 things. You want to start with timing?
Yeah, let's do it.
So the first one is timing. Timing is, hey, is this urgent enough? Is this a big enough a problem that I actually need to take action up against? That rhymes with checkpoint 1, right? Is this the right time for me to do something? And just because they're talking to us doesn't mean that it is. And guess what? When I was in sales and I was at the top of the leaderboard for my entire company, I was at a Fortune 500 company. Guess what everybody on my team said? Dara, who was our manager, she's sending you all the leads. She's giving you all the good leads. Like, what are you talking about? She wasn't getting any good leads. All the leads came through our call center, right? I was turning normal leads into great leads, because what we have to understand is that 60% of our opportunities aren't already in enough pain. Right? Those are just lay down sales. 60% are right in the middle. And if we can unpack the pain that's inside of them, we will understand, and they will better understand if this is the right time to do this, and you'll get more people taking action. But when we leave ambiguity in this, that ambiguity turns into ultimately them rationalizing their problems and then them avoiding their problems, which you guys see all the freaking time. And then their roof turns into a major issue 6 to 12 months later, and it's super expensive. And that all could have changed if you just would have helped them. Okay. So timing is first. All right. Then we got price. Price and competition both align to checkpoint 2. Price is obviously, man, that price comes through and I'm shocked by it. Holy crap, right? I feel like your offering is way too expensive and beyond my budget because we didn't anchor them. Like we teach you guys in this, you have to anchor them to a bigger number, which is ROI, which is the cost of this problem. When you anchor them to that, all of a sudden budget starts to change. They're not just looking for the lowest price. They want to solve the problem and stop this bigger cost from happening. And they're more than happy to spend that $15,000. When if you don't do that before, now they're all of a sudden shocked by that $15,000. So price gets in the way, but it's our fault, just like timing on a lot of deals, not all. We're not absolutists here. Then competition, internal or external, right? And this is mainly on competition, guys. This is Bob the maintenance man, or this is their existing vendor. This is not the other big people in your or big roofers in your area. No, that comes down to product fit, right? This is the competition that's staring them right in the face and has more of their attention than you. And if you don't disarm this, competition is going to kill you. And they're never even going to tell you. They're going to take your proposal and give it to somebody else. Then we got trust and product fit, right? And trust now all of a sudden is there's skepticism about the salespeople and the company's credibility. That's how we conduct ourselves, whether or not they feel like we know what we're doing. Or we're giving them hardcore data that shows them we're able to fix the problems that they have. We've been there, done that before. Do they trust that our past experiences will produce the future events that they want for their building, right? And then product fit, are we being clear? Or are we just going and delivering a proposal and reading through each page with them? These ugly pictures of roofs with all of this text. Holy crap, man. People's attention span has never been shorter, guys. Never been shorter. You kidding me? They do not want to read that PDF. They don't understand that PDF. Can we deliver a clear, concise solution in a way that solves their problem, speaks to the things that they care about so that they understand that we're the right ones for them? When we don't, they don't see the alignment, whether it's there or not, and they will say product fit is not there and they'll choose somebody else unnecessarily.
These are the items that we should be looking for when we're marking things dead, when we're talking to customers, right? And they're telling us, right? So we talk about the goodbye email or resetting up, whatever, resetting up that meeting to rediscover. Pay attention to these things. Why is the deal dying, right? What is it that we didn't get right up front, right? And I'm not blaming 100% on sales, right? Maybe it's their side. Maybe they didn't understand where it was. Maybe they didn't understand their buying process. They'd never had to buy this before. I can't tell you how many meetings I've went into, and all of a sudden now they realize that they have a corporate vendor, right? There's a corporate vendor list that they can't do. So that helps us understand and change the future, because when I go into an entity like that, I can say, do you guys have a national vendor list? And I'm like, yeah, I think we do. It allows you to be able to position yourself, right? Again, as that trusted advisor, to be able to say, I understand your business. I understand that the safety protocols that go into working on a manufacturing plant or cold storage or whatever it is. This just allows you to be able to get there. So you can learn so much from the failures. And when I say failures, that might be the wrong word, but from the deaths, right? From the dead opportunities, you can learn so much of, okay, what could I have done different to either A, disqualify this faster? That's real, guys. It's okay to mark something dead. It's okay to be able to move on from something because it gains you time, which ultimately you can't get more of. But could you have disqualified this faster? Was this a job that you were never going to get? You can learn that stuff, and we can be able to, again, filter that into our sales process. So pay attention to this, guys. We put this up here and we continue to talk about this because this is going to help you change the future. If we can understand what's happening in the past or why we're swinging and missing on certain opportunities, how are we going to swing that bat different, right? Why are we going to be able to raise that average? So we talk about that perfect buyer's journey. It's 3 checkpoints. Number 1, do they need to act? Number 2, do they need new or outside help? And number 3, do we have the best solution? We're still driving right into this process, guys. And if you did it up front and all of a sudden your customer misses the commitment date or misses what they had spoke about with you, it's okay to go back into it. It's okay to go back into it before you deliver the proposal. And it's absolutely okay to go into it after you deliver the proposal. If the client has not awarded it or made a decision, it's a huge part of this, guys, has not made the decision by the time they've committed to. So there's 2 different things in your book of business. There's decision date and confidence. The Decision date is the date that the client has committed to make a decision. Doesn't mean it's going with you. Confidence level is the confidence on how confident you are that you've positioned yourself as the end all, one and only individual who can solve this problem for them. That's positioning yourself as an industry expert. That's the social proof. That's everything that comes in, right, to this long form that we continue to be able to talk to, right? The problem solution, right? Solution roadmap. That what are you guys doing to be able to become an expert, right? What is the product that you guys are in? There's a massive difference between a lumber yard, a self-storage, and a hospital. They all might have a 60 mil TPO roof on it. The way they operate within the building is completely different. And that's how we get into vertically scaling our businesses. That's how we get to a point to where we can be an expert inside that specific niche. And that's when you guys really excel and become great at what you're doing and not just a general roofer or a general contractor at that point. I know that might be mean to say, but real world. So this is what I'm challenging you guys with. If you do not have a specific way to be able to present your solution, if you don't have a specific way to able to explain what your special sauce is, all you're going to get is inconsistency. Inconsistency of the questions that are asked, inconsistency of how you deliver your solution. And that's scary. Because if you guys want success and continued success, I don't care if you're a business or an individual sales rep here, you guys need to have your recipe for success. You guys need to understand exactly how you present the questions that you ask and why you ask those questions. I went through a role play. I think this was Friday. I had a client, it wasn't even a client. I had someone call me and they were kind of challenging the part. And I said, how do you normally buy something like this? And he said, I said, dude, you can be a jerk all you want, right? Because he was challenging it. And he goes, none of your business. And I said, okay, I completely agree and understand your point inside here, but how am I going to help you get the solution that you need if I can't understand the steps that you need to make? Because if we're selling to multiple people, you have to take it to somebody else. I want to position my solution to where it best presents to them, because I can assume that's what you got to do, right? And we went around the whole thing. There's so many ways to be able to go about it and sell with integrity, no matter who you're going with, as long as you have a process. The next thing that I'll tell you guys is right on top, the power of role playing. You cannot practice in your client's office. You cannot. If you don't have a dedicated time to be able to set role plays up, it's okay to screw up. It's okay to mess up. It's okay to jumble your words or whatever happens. Do it with your friends, do it with your coworkers, do it with your boss. I don't care where it is, because none of those things affect your success. When you do it in front of customers, it can be taken a lot of different ways. And the last way that I want you guys to be taken is unprofessional or unprepared. There's a lot of things that happen, especially with new items. Your voice tone is a huge part. Voice naturally goes up when you ask a question. It naturally goes down when you make a statement. It also naturally goes up when you're not sure or when you are assuming. So you guys need to get this taken care of real soon, right? There's no confidence in that. You guys need to get this taken care of, right? How you present, your voice tone, your body, all of that stuff makes a massive difference. And confidence is a lot more visual, okay, than it is audible. So you got to go in there. You got to have confidence inside what you're doing. You got to be able to know what you're presenting, what questions you're asking. And that helps a lot with anxiety and everything else that comes into walking inside a boardroom of individuals or wherever it is. I say this because I want you guys to understand real world. I've been in the situations where we've walked into boardrooms of 20 plus people where you're presenting a roofing solution to them and you're only scared of screwing up. I've been there. Create a process with that, guys. That's what we're doing here. We're giving you all of the tools. This 8-week program, right? This 8-week series that you guys have just went has given you the tools to be able to qualify or disqualify your customers, position yourself as a trusted advisor, and ultimately leave helping them solve their problems, right? Helping them understand really what's going on. It's more than a stained ceiling tile. Repositioning, repurposing what's happening to be able to be that trusted advisor and to be able to help them get what they need, right? Which is ultimately someone to help them understand what's really going on. David, anything you want to add as we close this this last one, week 8 out? Next week we start week 1. Anything you want to add, sir?
Nope. I think it's, guys, this is not additive. It's just the steps are here. A lot of you guys will listen to this and you'll feel good, right? You leave here like, oh yeah, that made sense. Oh, yeah, I love that. But then we get out there and we execute and very little changes, right? And when we do that, we're just playing into the hands of these 5 reasons why our deals just keep closing or falling into closed lost unnecessarily. Those that fall into closed lost because it's not the right time, that's fine. I'm not worried about that. Or if we're not the right solution or whatever it is, but you guys are losing a set of deals every single month. That really is the difference between being that $700,000 a year service rep versus that $1 million, that $1 million versus $1.5 million, that $1.5 million versus $2 million rep. And these are the things that we're actively doing in our programs, guys. And this is the stuff. It's all right there for you. You just got to start implementing and putting it into effect.
The secret is protecting your time, guys. The secret is using your time as wisely as possible with the individuals that check the 3 boxes. That truly is the secret to be able to have your day done by 4 o'clock. You know who I'm talking to on here. We got to be able to use our time as wisely as possible, work with the customers that truly have problems big enough to act, that need outside services, and then understand that we're here to be a trusted advisor, not just another contractor. So that's what this is about, guys. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for joining in for this 8-week series. Again, next week we start week 1, where we're diving back into the big picture of what's happening, going through each checkbox individually. My request to you guys is share this, get this to somebody else. Next week's a big week because we're restarting, right? We get back into the to the nuts and bolts of the 4D sales process. Share this with someone, invite them to be able to come in. There's no cost to be here. This is about me and David raising the floor for the industry and making a better sales environment, a better sales culture for every sales rep out there. So I appreciate everybody. Thank you guys for joining. Again, share it. That's the one thing that you can do for me. Share it with a friend, family, put it on social media, wherever it needs to go. And I look forward to working with all you guys. Thank you.
See you next week.